Hello, everyone, and welcome to Build a Game Live workshop. My name is Tristan, and I will be your guide today. If you have any questions, you can ask them in chat. That will be monitored by my partner, Aaron, who I believe is going through chat right now. So feel free to say hello and maybe where you're from. But today in Build a Game Live workshop, we're going to be using the quiz show template and showing how to use that to the best of your abilities or our abilities. And we definitely welcome some best practices out there. I'll ask for those towards the end. I also, before I get started here, wanted to remind everyone about our upcoming webinars. We've got another Build a Game Live on the 10th of May, where we will be going over our new template Dash, which is going to be fairly exciting. It's a new template that will be coming out really soon here at the beginning of May, and it's about fill in the blank and all sorts of unique question types that we don't have in some of our other templates. Then on the 18th of May, Erin will be conducting her webinar about Dash and the science of gamification behind that and all sorts of neat things there that you can usually encounter through Erin's webinars. And finally, on the 31st of May, I will be doing another Build a Game Live for Dash, just to make sure everyone is on the same page with that. So that's kind of the rundown of the upcoming events here. Without further ado, I'm going to hop on over and start creating in the quiz show. Right here is the landing screen. Most of you should be familiar with that. In the chat, if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to assume most of you are familiar with some of our templates. If you haven't already, maybe put some of your questions that you have about building the quiz show template or things you'd like to see, and then we can take a look at those perhaps here while we are going through. So right away, I'm just going to click on the quiz show template here to get started, and you'll notice right up top here, it gives you a little synopsis. It can be instructor-led or self-paced, and it gives you some idea of what this template can do. All of our templates have this at the beginning when you click on them, and you don't have to really remember a ton or work for C3 SoftWorks to remember all of what these do. Now, as far as quiz show goes, the minimum setup for that is 3 categories with 3 questions each. And if my math holds up, and I believe it does, that is 9 questions. Well, with 9 questions, that can be sometimes a little bit heftier of a template to build out. Some of our other templates, you can just have 1 question in. So keep in mind when you're building with quiz show, it's something where you're going to have a little bit more content than some of our other templates. You're going to have a little bit more information there. So when you are building out with quiz show, keep that in mind. It's going to have a requirement for more questions to be put into it. So I'm going to click start. And if you notice here, we've got the 5 steps, same with all of our templates. Once you get to these 5 steps, you have successfully completed building your template. So right here, I'm just going to type in today's month, and I'm going to build out an instructor-led template here. And I'm feeling very green today. It's a spring type thing, so I'm going to click the color of the template right there. I'm already on to step 2 right here. So as you notice, we can either go to the next steps by clicking the next button or by clicking on these dots up here. We've got our categories, and we can end up naming those whatever we'd like. We can even add categories. We can add questions. So right off the bat, I knew I was going to do Build a Game Live, so I created some questions here. I know that's a little bit of working ahead, but I wanted to make this to go smoothly today. So I've got some pre-built questions here, and I'm going to drag and drop a few over there. And you'll notice a few of these are going to be related to dogs, which is fine. That's just what I decided to look up here. So you'll notice as I'm dragging and dropping these over, I'm just dragging, dropping, letting go. If I was unhappy with the order, I can move them around anytime I want by just switching their orders. I can name the categories here just by clicking on the categories. This one, we're going to call Dogs Part 1. Original titles only here. The next one, let's call this one Not Licensed Dogs. And then finally, the last category, we're just going to go with dogs. So now I've got all my categories named. Now I can add my questions. So I'm going to drag and drop a few more of these dog related questions over here. And this is what I'm dragging out of right now is the question library. You can access this on the main page when you log in, and you can build out your questions for any of our templates ahead of time. It can really simplify the creation process when all you have to do is really drag and drop over to your various templates, and you don't have to worry about the whole build out process. Now, some of these are duplicate questions, and that's fine. I'm not going to be building an actual one that we're going to be putting into running for the best quiz template of the year. I really just wanted to show how easy that is. But let's say I want to get rid of one of these questions here and create a brand new question just for today. I'm going to click on that trash can. Now it's disappeared. It's still in my library. It didn't delete it from the library. I can click to add a question. And now I select what type of question type I'd like. If you are familiar with the BRAVOZONE and some of our templates, you'll know that some of our templates have different question types available to them. These just happen to be the question types that are available inside of Quiz Show. So right away, I'm going to do a true or false question here. I'm going to throw in a true or false question. Let's see here. Oh, I know. Can dogs legally drive cars? Or instead of asking that, I suppose since it's true or false, I should actually just make a statement there. Dogs can legally drive cars. Now I've got my question. I'm going to make it a little bit fancier. I'm going to use some of our text editing features here. I'm going to make that really large, and I'm going to make cars a little bit of a subscript there, just to make it look a little more goofy. This will be a bonus question where people can wager points. Unless I am completely off and I don't know my state trivia that well, I don't believe dogs can drive cars legally in any state or country. Feel free to correct me in the chat if I am wrong. For that question, if I wanted to add audio, I could go over here and I can record my own audio right inside of the BRAVOZONE, or I can link to a URL with some audio, or if I have pre-recorded audio I've loaded in another template, it'll be in my media library. Or I can upload something from my computer. But I don't want to add audio. I'm going to add media. So here, again, I can link to a URL, a YouTube video, or something I've previously uploaded. All these file formats are accepted. I'm going to click here. And then for my question about the dogs, I'm going to go into this folder here. And we're going to pick let's go with the GIF of a dog drinking water. That sounds fun. So now, as it says right here, I've got the upload complete. Click OK right there. I can preview this. And now, for whatever reason, I've got a dog drinking water with my true-false question about legally driving dogs. If I wanted to, perhaps my question is strange or weird or needs some context added to it, I can do a preview or summary slide where I also have the same abilities of text editing and adding media, where I can add in some context around the question. And finally, with settings, I can show the percentages for each answer that people put in. And if I want, I can even show them live. But I'm going to be done with my question. As you can see, it's a little bonus question there. It's got the little question marks there in the background, so you can tell that it is a bonus question. I'm going to turn on the final category question where people can really wager it all. And instead of reinventing the wheel on this one, again, I'm going to pick from one of my pre-created questions. So now I have that in there. Let me delete this one. I gotta get rid of this first. Yes, I do want to delete it. Go over here, and now I've got a completely separate question. It's just that easy. If I wanted to add a category even, I can add a category, name it something like not cats or whatever you want to name it. And it's just that easy to add another category in questions. Same with moving them around. If I wanted to change their positions, I can do so. All right, but I'm going to get rid of this category. I just did that to show you the creation of that. If you're not a content expert, this is a button that will save you some time. Or if you're bad with spelling or grammar, you can download a PDF or CSV of your questions and answers and have someone else look them over. I find that's very beneficial because I am not strong in either one of those areas. So I highly recommend that you take advantage of that. Next, we're going to move on to graphics. Here's where maybe my questions will make me dictate that I want to change the background. I'm going to move that over to this bluish purple and red. I'm I'm going to upload a custom logo by my game title. Again, the same process as before. I'm going to click here and we're going to do a Basset Hound. And now I've got my custom logo for my game. I'm not going to change the fonts, but I will change the intro screen. I'm going to say welcome, have caps lock on there. Welcome to the dog game. Keep on hitting that caps lock button. My fingers are clumsy today. All right, so now I'm going to add a little bit of media to that, just like I did before. I'm going to click here and I'm going to add another funny dog picture. So now I've got my customized intro. I've messed around with my logo. We're going to go on to the fourth to last step. Here's where I can decide whether I want people to respond with their devices, smartphones, tablets, laptops, computers, or their voices. If you do voice response, you're going to be dealing with people talking out loud, and it can make it a little bit more energetic, a little bit more frantic, and a little bit more chaotic. I find, depending on the situation, that they both have their merits. Today, I'm going to go with the devices, and then I'm going to go with the all play on this option. So everyone competing against everyone. If I went with teams, I could customize the logos and the names the same way I've customized everything else today by clicking on it and typing in what I'd like, or in the instance of the images, selecting what image I want to replace it with. I can mess with the amount of teams. So that is another nice feature we've got there. I'm going to keep it at 4 teams there. But I did say I was going to go to all play. So forget about the teams, just wanted to illustrate that a little bit. I can set a question timer. So if I want this to move really quick, I can set the timer for really fast. The faster you set the timer, the more frustrating it can be for people, but it can also ratchet up the intensity of whatever game you're playing. Generally for things through like Zoom or Teams or something online, I wouldn't go below 30 because of connection speeds, but you might find the time that works for you is less than 30, and that's perfectly fine. I like to reduce the time, the points as time goes on. And here, this is a feature I don't think enough people use. And here you can actually edit the game text. So if you go in here, and let's say anytime we have the name student or score listed inside of our game, once we have it published and set to go, we can change that if we want. So let's say I don't want to say score, I want it to say super winning number. Now, whenever that score would pop up inside of this template, it's going to put that phrase instead. This screen down here is what your participants will see when they're logging in. Just has a name requirement there. You can select email, or you can even put in customized things there. Down here at demographics, this is a neat way to get further information on your participants, or have another way for people to compete with one another. So let's say I've got different departments, or better yet, regions of the world. And so I type in regions of the world, and then I put in the options that people have. So let's go with Europe. Let's go with North America, South America, and for whatever reason, Asia. I know there's other areas of the world, and I apologize if I'm skipping your area. And now from this drop-down menu, people will select the region of the world that they're from. And that's another way to kind of figure out who's scoring what and from what part of the world. It boosts the engagement when people have more ways to kind of win and be part of the winning team. So find ways besides teams, including demographics, to really kind of boost the engagement of the people that are participating. Finally, we're going to go onto the publish screen. I can show this with my other builders if I have any in my organization, and I can decide if they can edit it or not with this button. I can type in a little bit of description. Maybe I don't remember so well what I built 6 months ago. This would be a good spot to describe it here. Last but not least, we've got the sign-in requirements. Just to be clear, over here in options, we have the ability to put whatever information we want to gather from people right here. They can type in whatever they want. They can follow our prompts or not. That's for no sign-in required. If I say sign-in required, then over here when they sign in, they're going to have to register if they haven't already registered, password, email, things like that. And now I can track their performance over many different templates and quizzes. By default, no sign-in required is set up. So before I click publish on this, I'm just going to go back over to the questions, going to give them a once over. Looks like we have all different questions here. Oh, we've got a double there. I'm going to get rid of that one. And we are going to throw in, of course, I have to delete that. Me and my forgetting. We're going to move that over here. And we're going to go back to publish, and I'm going to publish this. Now I've got my link ready to be published. I can preview this and see what the questions and correct answers are. Again, if I want someone else to look over that, check my answers. And now I've clicked the presenter link. So now we've got a new tab opened up. I can on the fly adjust teams or all play, the use of avatars, and if people want to be anonymous or not. So I'm going to click the start button right here. Now I am starting up. There's my custom intro screen. There's my custom logo and my name. Down here at the bottom, of course, is how people can log into the session. And they can also do so with the QR code. If anyone would like to see the game that was built live in front of you here today, you can log in with that QR code. I'll give anyone some a little bit of time to log in if you want. Otherwise, I'll just preview a little bit of what this looks like, and you can see that on your smart devices or phones, and then we'll go on from there. Again, I'll give this a couple seconds here, and then we'll move on and show you what this looks like. All right, so I'm just going to start it here. And again, if you do want to play around on your device, you can always join with the link at the bottom. I'm going to turn off the sound here because it interferes with my talking, and I do not like that. So here we've got the board set up. We have the leaderboard. We can always collapse that if we want more real estate on the screen. And of course, your participants and who's answered the questions. So I'm just going to click randomly here. Got the bonus question, who would have thought? People submit their wagers. Of course, no one's playing. This is what the questions look like on the presenter's screen, and here's where the percentages show up. They allow you to address any kind of issues that pop up during your session. Let's click on another question here, see what we've got. What are your thoughts on dog puns? I don't believe this is a select all that apply, but you have to kind of pick your favorite there. We've got 100% of answers in from the people that have joined the quiz. We have the answer breakdown here. So we've got the barking up the wrong tree has been the most popular answer there. Exciting stuff. And let's say we are starting to run out of time. I've got time for one more question here, so I'm going to do this one. Just pretending we still have some time with the webinar here. So according to the American Kennel Club, non-sporting is a breed group of dogs. We've got 100% of people in. We have some people that look like they know their dogs. I would have guessed before I looked that up that non-sporting, there's no way that was a breed. But apparently that is in fact a breed according to the American Kennel Club. Here's an example of a summary slide, again, providing more context around the answer. And that also helps when you're creating your questions to not have the wall of text all around the question. When you have separate slides with some more information, it can really improve your presentation. So hypothetically, we are running low on time. I can go up to this gear icon and I can skip to the final question. This is really helpful if you do want to finish what you're doing, but you don't have time to do everything that you built. It'll help, especially with something like Quiz Show, where again, is by default 9 questions. You maybe don't get to all of them, but it still allows you to have that type of format. So go ahead and submit your final wagers there now, for those of you that are playing along. And again, we'll get to see how those wagers are going for the participants over there. Give this one more second here. And then, all right, we're gonna, oh, we had someone changing a wager. Or do we have more people join? Okay, so we're gonna move on. We've got the submit wagers. This is there's archaeological evidence that dogs were domesticated before horses. Interesting stuff here. Is that true or false? And as you can see, we've got the timer going. Of course, in your heads, we all know what theme song or sound or music is going through our heads right now. And as soon as that counts down, I will click that over to the next button. All right, so we've got 80% in with true. That is the correct answer. And then a little bit of a fact again with the summary slide. I was kind of shocked that horses were only 6,000 years ago, but again, when you research things, you learn things. So we've got the kind of the screen here. Good job, everyone that participated. You're all winners in my book. We have the top 5 listed here. If we want to see, let's say we had more participants, I can view all the participants here if there was more than the top 5. We can also look at the demographics breakdown. It looks like the top answers were all from, or the 5 participants were all from North America, provided they were all honest about where they were from. And finally, as a presenter, I can look at what were the most challenging questions. Now it's going to populate here with questions that we didn't get a chance to answer, so be aware of that. But say I wanted to address something like the non-sporting breed. This shows me that that was the one that people had the most trouble with that we completed. So finally, when I'm done, I can click the close button, and we have successfully not only built, but played a quiz show template. Does anyone have any questions they would like to address at this point, or like anything they'd like to see regarding the quiz show?
I'm interested in looking at the catapult.
Okay. Right now we are just working with the quiz show template. We will be working with catapult here coming up, but they are built the kind of the same way. So those same 5 steps. Catapult is just going to be conducted slightly different than the quiz show. It will be done with kind of a more animated and people battling each other, but we'll definitely be conducting one of these build-its on a catapult sometime soon. So I appreciate the interest in that. And you can also schedule a meeting one-on-one with me, and we can look at catapult together then at that point. Any other questions regarding quiz show or the build out of a quiz show template? All right, I will take the silence as golden. I do want to address the final thing here before I let you guys go, the question editor. That's what I was dragging my questions over from. This is a huge time saver. You can click here and add a folder, add a library. Look at your libraries like they are your filing cabinets, and your folders are your folders in your filing cabinets. You can add folders in here and add your questions without being inside a template. The benefits to this is that now that you've added your questions, you can drag and drop them like you already saw me do with the quiz show, and it speeds up the creation process quite a bit. You have almost all the question types available for you here in the question editor. So keep in mind, we didn't see image map in the quiz show because that type of question isn't available in the quiz show. But all the question types are available here in the question editor library. I just really wanted to draw your attention to that. It is a huge time saver. You can add just the questions and answers, or you can add the media there too, even the preview and summary slides that will follow along with it. So keep that in mind. That's a huge power user tip. Use the question editor library. Any other questions before I let everyone go today? Oh, looks like we've got a chat in there. Someone is asking about adding music. We can add, if we go into the quiz show, I'm going to go into my content, and I'm going to go in here and unpublish this so I can edit it. If we're talking about adding music to, let's say, the intro screen, here where I chose on the graphics slide here, I can add my audio, and here's where I can add an MP3 or MP4 from my hard drive, or I can link to a website, or I can record my own. Maybe I want to record myself playing my saxophone poorly. I can do that. Or I can find someone that's much better at playing the saxophone and link to them there, or upload an MP3 or MP4 of the saxophone playing. You can also, if your questions, add your media. So let's say I wanted to add dogs barking to this question. Here's where I would add audio, and it's the same process as adding that to the intro screen, where I can record, link to a website. If I previously uploaded something, it's going to be under my media library, or I can upload something from my computer right there in an MP3 or MP4 format. So that's the way that you can add music to your presentation in the various areas. Great question, though. Sorry that I didn't address that too well. Any other questions that are out there? Okay, well, I'm going to go in here, and since I made some edits to this, I'm going to go over to publish. And you notice it's already published, and I didn't republish this. It's always a good practice if you think you made changes to always publish and unpublish a few times. That will make sure to get any of your edits in there. I was working with someone the other day and we fixed an issue they had with their quiz show template, in fact, and it turns out the program didn't offer them to unpublish it to make changes. They made their changes, and of course the changes weren't there. So if you do any kind of messing around, whether the program yells at you or not, it's always a good best practice to go to publish, then publish and unpublish again. So that will help with any kind of editing and changes. Well, I want to thank everyone for showing up today. I hope some of this information was beneficial. Keep in mind, again, the quiz show is one of our templates with more questions in it, but you can always skip to the end if you still want to use that type of template for whatever you're doing. We have users and subscribers that use it for reviews, in the middle of sessions to break things up, at the beginning of sessions to assess the knowledge base of their participants in that day's session. We even have some people that are using it in newsletters as far as emailing them out, and they can capture people's information that way with what their knowledge is in a certain area. So there's a variety of ways to use Quiz Show. If you have other ways that you are currently using it or would like to use it, we'd love to hear your feedback. Please feel free to reach out to us. If you're not currently a subscriber to the Bravo Zone, a link has been posted in the chat if you'd like to check us out and see what we can do for your gamification and presentation needs. And thank you so much for everyone attending today's session. I really appreciate it. And if you'd like a recording, we should have one sent out to you within a day or so of this presentation. And as always, again, look for our next one, May 10th. It will be on the brand new template Dash. And then, of course, we'll be working with that on May 10th. May 18th, we've got Aaron's webinar on Dash, gamification, the science behind a lot of things regarding that. It should be very entertaining like normal. And the follow-up Dash, Build It Live on the 31st of May. Thanks again, and have a wonderful day, everyone. creation and your projects.